What seeds are you planting? Seeds of Alchemy promotes conversations to inspire increased awareness and empowered awakening in the material world. Hello, beloved. This is a consciously curated podcast by Project Alchimie, intended to help you reclaim your why without fear, ego, or judgment. We thank you so much for being here. If you would like to get early access to ad-free episodes, join the Alchimie Ascension Tribe on Patreon. It's where you can make topic requests and dive further into discussion topics with a like-minded community. You can find links in the description or in the show notes below. Now let's dive into today's episode. What's keeping you from answering your true calling? Are you ready to forge your own path or confront the fear of entrepreneurship? Sometimes getting out of your head and out of your own way can be the biggest hurdle or mountain to climb. But what if doing so was your key out of the matrix? Would you take the leap to answer your true calling then? Confronting the fear of entrepreneurship or following your own path is often told as a wise tale to mind your P's and Q's and to follow the status quo. Work that 9 to 5, save your passions and hobbies for the weekends that will more than likely be jam-packed with cordial obligations and or adulting tasks that you didn't have the energy or the motivation to complete throughout the week. At what point does pouring into yourself, your life purpose, your creative vision, and long-term goals stop taking a back seat to shame, judgment, and social conditioning? Take a moment to think about the viewpoints you hold when you hear the word entrepreneurship or the phrase, the hero's journey. During reflection, you might find that some of the viewpoints you hold aren't actually those of your own. Rather, they might be judgments or misconceptions commonly repeated by those who have been confined to comfort zones, whether out of their own volition or not. It took me years to overcome the fear of entrepreneurship, to answer the call within, mainly because there's so much worry and apprehension tied to following one's intuition. There was always a battle going on between my heart and my head, but it doesn't have to be that way for you. If you find yourself at the very same crossroads or ongoing inner conflict, here's how to start chipping away at the panic within, especially if you ever want your desired reality to see the light of day. Number 1. Release the perception of being the little man. If there was one thing that scared me the most about venturing out beyond the widely accepted day job, it was seeing just how rough it is for the little guy to thrive while taking the road less traveled. Honestly, the horror stories of going off the beaten path were enough for me to stay in a mode of self-denial, subscribing to the traditional trajectory. Not understanding all of the ins and outs or knowing what lies around the corner may be even more of an incentive to keep that cushy sales job. Yes, the roller coaster of entrepreneurship is enough to keep anyone at bay. However, that can be partially attributed to hearing skewed perspectives from those who haven't tried stepping out on their own before. It also doesn't help that finding those who are willing to share the actual details can be like trying to find a needle in the haystack. This may require you to learn on the job. The shift happens when you realize how much easier it is to break out of the shame spiral and self-imposed cage when you allow yourself to learn on the job and to follow the breadcrumbs. The more you challenge yourself to step outside of your comfort zone, the more you'll find people who are willing to share resources as well as their experiences. Number 2, address self-reflection versus self-sabotage. Have you ever heard of the saying, comparison is the thief of joy? Starting your own business or brand calls for a healthy amount of research and a well-thought-out action plan. However, too much future thinking can get you stuck in the planning phase, or what could be more appropriately described as operating from a place of self-doubt. Perhaps it's because it seems like the process comes so easy to others, or perhaps you find yourself getting caught up in the need for outside feedback or approval, data and market research, the guarantee of success, and or the sparkling highlight reels of others' journeys on social media. So much so that self-reflection and making a business plan are no longer helpful. Rather, they slowly start morphing into unconscious acts of self-sabotage or regret. For example, I can't tell you how many times I quote unquote finalized my business plan just to scrap months worth of late night storyboarding, financial planning, brand concepts, and digital assets. In those moments, I was convinced that I had to start over because my vision wouldn't be or wasn't good enough to stand out from the rest. I also can't tell you how many times I went back and forth on launch dates or added on extra projects. On one hand, I wanted to go out guns blazing before realizing that, ironically, burnout was already on my doorstep. On the other hand, I was allowing myself to subconsciously add more to my plate to keep from having to move forward. Depending on which end of the spectrum you find yourself on, self-sabotage or analysis paralysis could be your blockage. Keep them both at bay by tuning outside voices and social feeds out. Essentially, this is a friendly reminder to keep your eyes on your own paper. Follow your gut instincts and trust that the vision you have or path you want to explore weighs heavy on your heart for a reason. This is not to say collaboration or professional consulting won't be favorable for your outlook, expansion, or further development. It's more to say move and keep moving. Stop waiting, stop reflecting, stop replaying and procrastinating. Allow yourself to grow, flow, and evolve as your vision does. And lastly, number 3, dare to answer the call. Once you've crossed the bridge from ideation to implementation, keep betting on yourself. Betting on yourself will look different day to day because taking the leap doesn't end at the first leap. The initial leap of faith is really more of a baby step that confirms how willing you are to get out of your head and stay in your heart space. There will be bigger steps and shifts you'll have to consider as you continue onward, and it's nothing to be afraid of. Intuiting will start to become like second nature. Don't doubt your intuitive nudges, your unique approach, or your niche either. There's something about the way you present information or connect with a mission that's exclusive to you and relatable to others. Trust in that, your message and approach, that is, because it'll inspire you to keep showing up and answering the call as the shifts, as your story and path continue to unfold. Exercise your trust muscles by jotting down 2 to 3 short-term goals. Then, breaking those down into even smaller goals or tasks to complete. Taking the idea of baby steps literally will not only help you build confidence, but it'll also make the twists, turns, and uncertainties less scary and more approachable. That's a tip I began to incorporate in my pursuits thanks to Eileen at Lavender. If anything else, be encouraged to start putting your plans in motion, even if you frequently find yourself sitting high in the clouds, even if it's just for a second. Dare to answer your higher mind, higher being, higher self, and higher calling, because your presence is needed, your perspective is needed, your light is needed. If you find that you need extra support with your creative life purpose or on your entrepreneurial journey, there are over 145 free resources curated just for you at projectalchemy.com/soul-and-wellpreneurs. Find the page linked in our show notes and description. And with that, happy leaping, beloved. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode with an open mind. We hope it inspires you to align with higher consciousness and welcome growth in all areas of your life. We hope you know you're supported, not only by the universe, but also by the Project Alchemy community. Feel free to make your way over to our show notes and description box for resource links, as well as the link to join our Alchemy Ascension tribe on Patreon. Follow us at Project Alchimie on Instagram to keep this conversation going. And if you prefer blogs, find the transcribed version of this podcast episode at projectalchemy.com/the-journal. With that, we send you peace and love, and we hope that you'll join us again in the next episode. Namaste, beloved.